Hey harpists and harp lovers! I'm really excited to share this day in the life video with you. As you can see, I'm posting this video in January 2026, but as you'll see in the video, I recorded it in August 2025, so a few months ago. I got super duper busy in the fall, and then with the holidays and everything, just pushed back me posting this video. It also took a long time to edit with all of the clips that I had to go through from the entire course of the day, and also all of the yapping that I had to edit down, so it was a suitable length to watch and not just drag on. But I really had a fun time making and editing this video. It's something very different and something that kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit. Along with sharing the regular day-to-day stuff, I also shared some of the thoughts and feelings that I had been experiencing through the past year of 2025, along with some of my performance and gigging tips and just a lot of other stuff. So I hope that you enjoy. So leave a like, a comment, consider subscribing if you're not already. And without further ado, here is my day in the life video from August 28th, 2025. Boys ready to go potty? Let's go. Hello and welcome to this little day in the life video. I've been wanting to make a video like this for a while now, but have just been kind of shy about it, I guess, or felt like, I don't know, I don't have anything interesting to say or show, but I think that there's no time like the present, and I think that everyone has interesting things to say and show, so maybe something in this you'll find interesting, who knows. So yeah, I'm gonna put my camera shyness aside and my worries about being awkward, and we're just gonna go for it and see how it goes, see what happens. There's like a helicopter. I'm sorry if that's loud. I'm just filming this on my phone and without like a fancy microphone or anything because I wanted to keep it as simple as possible, so we'll see how that turns out. Anyway, the fun thing about being a professional musician is that every day looks different, so I think it should be a good time. Gunther, 1, 2, 3. Chance. 1, 2, 3. Time to get ready with me. So it's probably echoey in here, and for that I'm sorry. Once again, we are new to this and have no equipment and not even a ring light, so the lighting isn't great either, but you know, do what you can. So I haven't really been posting all that much this year on YouTube nor on other social media. It has been kind of a heavy year in a lot of different ways. Social media and stuff was just not like sparking joy for me, and was not motivated to post on it or anything like that. And there's a lot of factors, both like in my personal life and everything in the world and stuff, that has made using social media feel very counterproductive, superfluous, unnecessary, depressing. I don't know. So for that reason, I have not been posting all that much. I've been kind of going through a mental health journey, which has been really awesome. I've had generalized anxiety disorder pretty much my whole life, and also last year I was diagnosed with PTSD due to trauma I experienced from a heart condition that I had for a few years that I dealt with without knowing what it was. And this year I have been doing EMDR, which you can Google what that is, but it's basically a therapy modality that is used to treat trauma and PTSD and stuff like that. And so that has been really, really good. And so this year has been a lot better in that case in a lot of ways. I'm using my phone screen as a mirror, so if I'm not looking at the camera, that's why. Also, yeah, just not used to doing this. So anyway, I haven't been posting that much. I've been trying to just focus on like the essentials of life, and to me, social media was feeling non-essential. And so yeah, I haven't been posting that much. I've been kind of letting myself off the hook of trying to post every other week or even once a month or things like that. I do it when I feel like it, and I've been having a lot of nice, good experiences in my life outside of social media. So anyway, yeah. And this year has just been like kind of focusing on my own growth and development in a lot of ways, like not just mentally, but like professionally, academically, I guess. I started an online class. I've been trying to go to the gym twice a week. I've been learning a lot about mental health, emotional regulation, things like that. So yeah, things have been good in that regard. And outside of doing stuff with like my band and like some private events, I haven't done any weddings so far this year, and it's honestly been kind of a nice break. Today is wedding reception, is my first wedding of the year that I've done, which if you had told me that last year, it would have stressed me out, like I'm not doing enough, but it has honestly been like a pretty nice break, and I have all of my events of the year almost smushed into the next couple of months, so that's going to be busy. But I've been really enjoying the rest. Normally I'd beat myself up over like not doing enough or getting enough clients or things like that. I've been doing a lot of like arranging work, like commissions, recording. I've been getting more students, so it's just a lot more like behind the scenes stuff, but I've had to like not feel like guilty or weird about not having as many events that I have had in years past or whatever. Also, I don't wear a lot of makeup most of the time. I usually just do like concealer, blush, sometimes mascara, but when I'm doing events, I like to do a bit more. But the thing is that I do it different like every time, and so don't pay too close attention to what I'm doing, just I guess listen to my yapping. Alright, I also changed into a button-up shirt because that will be easier for when I have to change later. So anyway, apparently it's really hard for me to multitask while I'm doing this, to talk and like do makeup at the same time. It's fine. Like I said, it's different every time, and also I'm running out of this stuff. So this stuff is the best. I use it as like a toner or like refreshing or like a setting spray. I use it for everything. Of course, I had like a breakout before this. I'm probably gonna have to look in my actual mirror and not trust my camera. So anyway, I know I've been like talking all over the place. Moral of the story is I've reached a pretty good place about my relationship to productivity, social media, things like that. I'm definitely more of a perfectionist when it comes to sharing stuff online, or, you know, pretty much anything like performing. I have always kind of had a perfectionist mindset, and it definitely has served me in some ways, but not in others. And it's something that I've gotten better at managing and making sure that I'm more striving for progress over perfection, because perfection does not exist. I do a really good job telling my students this. I always say practice makes progress instead of practice makes perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. But of course, when it comes to myself, we always have unrealistic expectations, unrealistic standards for ourselves. This is a blush. I like to put it under my eyes. I'm one of those girlies who really likes to bring the blush up high. I think it's so cute. Phone cameras are good enough on their own, so I'm not going to fall into the trap that I need something more than that. Oh, this is a good amount of blush. I like to put some on my nose. Alright, while I do my eye makeup, I'm going to share some of my performance rituals, just in case, I don't know, any other musicians are watching. As you can tell, I'm not really influencer material, but I will share what I know about performing and some of the things I've learned, if that could help anyone. Let's see. For that, my mom gave me this as a hand-me-down. That's why most of it is gone, because she didn't use the other ones. Anywho. So yeah, performance rituals. I'll say one thing that I find really, really valuable for performance days is electrolytes. I am an electrolyte junkie. I don't know if that's a thing. If it is, then no, I'm not. I know that there's like flavored electrolytes. I get kind of sick of that flavor all the time, so I just put unflavored Pedialyte into my water. We're just going in with a lighter one on my lid. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so electrolytes. Electrolytes boost my energy more than anything does. I don't drink caffeine because of my heart. But honestly, electrolytes, they wake me up. It's what the body needs, I guess. I'm gonna go in with this sparkly guy. Right, beep. Sparkly guy. Except it's called Funny Girl, not Sparkly Guy. I'm so sorry. So electrolytes is one. I always make sure that all of my stuff is charged the night before. Or if it's a nighttime gig, I'll make sure to do it the day of. This includes tablet, electronic page turner, Bluetooth speaker, backup batteries, things like that. The other thing is that I always just do a debriefing like the week before, the night before, the day of. I look through my set list, I look through the contract, any notes that the client has sent me about what to wear, things like that. Especially when I have events that are like close together time-wise, I'm always scared that I'm gonna mix up details. Okay, we're gonna try and do eyeliner while we're yapping. I think that would be next level, and I don't know if I have the skills to do that. For now, we're gonna set this, and then I'm gonna put my mascara on. Alright, these are both kind of running out. I don't know what this is. It rubbed off, but this is that. I need to do this in the mirror, looking in the mirror, or else I will stab myself in the eye if I try to do it in my phone. How do people who do get ready with me's, how on earth do they just rely solely on their like viewfinder as a mirror? Or do they? I don't know. Going in with this one because I don't know. I don't know why. I'm just doing it because I've done it forever. I have always been a believer in using two mascaras that do different things. I know a lot of makeup people do like eye makeup first and then like your face makeup last to like avoid things falling out, but I've never had a huge problem with that. And so I just kind of go through like with a little sweepy sweep to make sure to get things, but it's looking fine. So there we go. Time to do my hair. So I normally like to have not freshly washed hair for gigs because I like to have it have a kind of texture to like pull it out of my face or like, you know, curl it or whatever. But my hair was really, really dirty yesterday and like I went swimming, and so we are doing natural hair today, which involves a clean head of hair, which I think it will look very cute and beachy, hopefully, if it gets along. After brushing out my hair, it's looking a little bit crazy, but we're gonna revive it with our curly wavy hair routine. I feel like I did not do a good job talking earlier about the social media mental health thing. I don't know. I guess my take is even though stuff happens in the world and it's easy to feel helpless and like you should be doing more. You also need to be able to meet yourself in the middle and say, you know, I can do as much as I can without destroying myself or worrying, and feeling crappy isn't going to help anything. And so you have to do what you can and then let go. Do what you need to do to find peace in your life. And that is really hard. But that's why art exists, I think, is to make life feel a bit less heavy, because life will always be heavy in one way or another. By the way, this is just water, just resurrecting the waves a bit. So yeah, it's the hard thing. Because, you know, it's like, think about when COVID happened, everyone had to stay inside, there wasn't live events or things like that, but people still turned to art, you know, to keep them sane. And, you know, things like streaming concerts or streaming video games, or, you know, just music in general. You can always listen to music wherever you are, especially with the internet. And, you know, people turned to their favorite shows, movies, art, music, to add light to their lives during a very uncertain and stressful time. That is why art is important. So if anyone else is feeling helpless, especially if you are an artist and you're like, what I do doesn't make a difference, it definitely does. And I think COVID is an excellent example of that, because people would have gone crazy with people not being able to see their friends or visit others or have that kind of in-person interaction. Art is what got people through, you know, myself included. The curls are alive, they're looking a little frizzy. Use this next. I think that, you know, we all have our place in the world, and artists have their place too. Here we are frizzy, but I think we're doing good. I have a hair oil that I'll put in when it's dry, but there we go. Also, while we're on the topic of my hair routine, in case there's any other curlies, wavies out there, this is what I use: shampoo and conditioner. The biggest thing that has helped with maximizing my curls and waves has actually been getting a curly haircut. There are stylists that specialize in doing haircuts that maximize curly texture. So that's what I think helped a lot. And knowing the best way to part my hair. I used to part my hair over on the left, but parting it in the middle has made my curls much more even and defined and stuff like that. All right, here's the look in the natural light. I think it turned out good. There's Chance. Hi, Chan. And of course, my hair still needs to dry. I've now teleported down into my studio to get ready to teach. And I had one more thought that I wanted to share from my disjointed bathroom thoughts earlier, which is, I guess, the summation, I think, of what I was trying to communicate is, if you feel like you are struggling to do it all, feel it all, know it all, it's because you are. You are not meant to do it all or know it all or feel it all, and no one is meant to. So if you feel that way, it may be helpful to take a step back and try and simplify what is on your plate, both mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, socially, relationshiply, and try and focus on what matters most and what you have direct control over, because it's impossible to do and to be all of the things for everyone all the time. And I guess just know that I think everyone feels that way in a little bit, and I think that if you do feel that way, it means that you care. That is really important to have in this day and age, is that humanity to care and to be soft in the face of a hard world. And so I guess just know that you're not alone and that I think you're doing a great job. Hi, just checking in really quick. I took a break from filming for a bit because I had a couple students come by and did their lessons, and I had lunch. I've got one more student of the day, and then I'm gonna be practicing and getting ready to leave for my gig. My hair is also pretty frizzy, so I need to go take care of that and then also get my wardrobe together, get my gear together, load up the car, everything like that. All right, so I just finished teaching for the day. It was kind of nice today because I usually have 5 students on Thursdays right now, but my first 2 of the day actually couldn't make it. So I only had 3 students today, which meant that I had more time to dedicate to this video. It would probably have been a little bit more crammed if I had those first 2 students, but I just love teaching. I love my students. I feel really, really privileged to have this as my job, being able to teach other people the harp, and it's just such a fun time. It takes a lot of emotional and mental energy, especially for someone like me who is an introvert naturally, but I really do try to spend as much energy as I possibly can on my students because they are awesome. I just love teaching. I'm so happy I get to do it. So right now we are getting the gear ready. Here's what I've got. I'm trying to decide which amp to bring. I think I might just end up bringing both. The gig is in a backyard, and so I want my wireless speakers. I'm gonna be playing for a reception, and I'm not quite sure the reach that I will be needing. I know how many guests there are, but I just don't know how big the backyard is and how much I'm gonna need the sound to carry. I've got this nice little mini amp. It is super good for how big it is. It's charging right now, but it is wireless, and I love to bring this one with me for gigs where the sound doesn't have to carry super duper far because it is really good quality. It even has different settings for balancing, you know, the treble, the bass. It even has reverb. So I really do like this little amp. I've also got this bigger boy, a Klipsch amp. It is big and it carries a long way. So I think I'm just gonna bring both of them and kind of see what is needed when we get there and see the space. So I don't have to bring the big harp today, which is nice. I'm actually bringing the harpsichord because that is what my client paid for. While some of the, you know, repertoire selections are a little bit more limited for the smaller lever harp, I found that it has been great for kind of more off the grid weddings. It's only 12 pounds and I have a shoulder case that I carry it in. So it's been really nice to have for those kinds of situations. It is a Reese Harps Grand Harpsichord. You can look on my YouTube channel for when I unboxed it and kind of did a first impression of it. It has been a great harp for touring and playing at smaller gigs, things like that, and I really enjoy it. It's only 12 pounds and I've got this really nice case for it that I just put over my shoulder. It makes it really easy to transport. Next, this is the tablet stand that I'm using. I believe you can get it on Amazon. It's nice because you could also use it as a phone stand, and I used it for that purpose when I was getting ready and filming that. But you just open it and it snaps around the edge of your tablet, and it has, of course, different heights. It's very nifty. This is the electronic page turner that I use. I put electrical tape over the little lights because they were flashing to show that it's like connected, and I found it kind of distracting to look at. But I've been using this for a few years and it's great. I've never had any problems with it. For my sheet music, I just have a Samsung Galaxy Tab, and I use this app that is similar to Fourscore for the iPad, but it is called Mobile Sheets. And it pretty much has the same functions. You can write on it, upload music from Google Drive, everything. Here are my cables that I'm going to be using with my harp and my amp. My harp has a pickup already built into it. And then I'm also going to be using this chromatic tuner pedal to plug into my harp so that when I'm tuning it, it can mute what's coming out of the amp. And this tuner is really, really awesome. I use it all the time playing on stage with my band as well. All right, off we go. couch, 2 different kinds of stands, just in case I decide if I want to sit or stand. So while I drive, I figured I could talk about my experiences as a gigging harpist, and if you are also a gigging harpist or a harpist who is looking to do gigs, maybe some advice or, I don't know, experiences that I could share. So I would say first thing is to make sure that you have a solid contract. Even if you are playing an event for a friend or even doing like a free event as a favor to someone or as a gift or as charity or whatever, always have a contract, even if no money is being exchanged, or even if it's someone who you've worked with before, or even if it's a friend. Like, just always have a contract. This is because it is so important to have everything in writing. That's why even if I talk on the phone with a client, I always send them an email after to follow up, to be like, you know, here's all of the things that we talked about, just to make sure we're on the same page. It's super important to be in writing, because if there's any kind of misunderstanding, even if it's a small thing, it's really important to be able to have that proof of what was agreed on. So things like the music they chose, things like the day, the time, the location, those are things that seem obvious, but you would be surprised at how much miscommunication can happen. That's why reiterating things, putting it in writing multiple times is really helpful to avoid those kinds of things. So again, things like the date, time, location, the venue, the music, what kind of event you're playing for, right? If it's a wedding ceremony or a reception or a cocktail hour, like there's lots of little details that are important to know, even if they don't seem important, such as the type of event. Other things you want to make sure to include in your contract are, of course, the price that is agreed upon, the rate, an overtime rate if you're asked to stay longer. I always make my overtime rate a little bit more than my hourly rate as an incentive to not make me stay for overtime if I'm not planning on it. Of course, you can always say no to overtime. I think in my contract it's phrased like, if the client asks for the harpist to stay longer and the harpist is available to stay, then here is the price. You know, there's no expectation that I would be available to stay for overtime. Also, clear expectations on when the balance is due. You get to decide when you want to collect the balance. If you want to have it due the day of the event, or 1 week after the event, or before the event. I personally prefer to have my balances due 2 weeks to a month before the event. Especially if it's a wedding. A couple paying for a wedding usually prefers to have everything paid for ahead of time so that they can just focus on the day and not have to worry about a looming expense or something that they have to like give a check to you on the day of the wedding or give a check to their wedding planner to give to you. It's just easier to have it paid for ahead of time, and it's important to have a cancellation policy. What if the event gets canceled? What window are you willing to refund the balance? Kind of along with the balance thing, what window are you willing to like refund the balance if they pay for it ahead of time? Or is it partially refunded? You have to keep in mind that they are reserving you for that date, and if they cancel, the likelihood of you being able to fill that date again is very, very low, especially if they cancel, you know, within a month of the event. And so that's why I usually will require the balance be paid a month up front, especially if it's for a wedding. And, you know, your cancellation policy, if you have to cancel, that's just as important. You know, do you have it in your contract that you'll find a replacement? Will you refund their money? Will you, you know, do X, Y, and Z? It's really important for the client to know what to expect when they're working with you, and if, you know, the unexpected happens. If you get sick, if you have an emergency, things like that. A huge thing to put in your contract, especially for harpists, is a weather clause and temperature clause. Musical instruments, especially harps, are not cheap, and no gig is worth putting your instrument in harm's way. Whether or not your livelihood depends on your instrument or not. Even if you have insurance for your harp, which I highly recommend if you are gigging with it, your insurance isn't going to cover anything if you knowingly played your harp outside in the rain because a client asked you to and you couldn't say no, you know? So it's important to put those things up front in the contract so that they know what to expect. Normal people without instruments, they don't think of these things most of the time. They're not trying to picture everything that could go wrong and how to keep an instrument safe. That's your responsibility as the musician, is to put those boundaries in place. I have a clause in my contract where if I'm playing an outdoor wedding, there has to be an alternate indoor location provided up front. Like, there has to be a backup plan. And if there's not, it says in my contract that I can cancel at full pay, right? If it so arises. Like, if a client wants to take a gamble on there not being rain that day and they're like, there isn't a backup location, then they accept the reality that if there is rain, I will just not play and they still have to pay. It's really important to have stipulations in place for things like that, because especially living in Utah, the weather like changes on a dime, especially in the summer. There's lots of random rainstorms and wind, thunderstorms, things like that. And I have played many events where it was outdoors and it wasn't supposed to rain and then it did. And I'm happy that I had those safeguards in place for my instrument, because I would have, just been out of luck. Learn from my experience, which is it's never worth it to try and make a client happy. You have to have healthy boundaries in place with all relationships, especially client ones, where your very expensive instrument is at stake. Even getting a little bit of water on a harp, if it's not like wiped up and dried right away, can cause it to have damage. And harps are not cheap to fix, let alone that, changes in weather and pressure can break your strings, and we all know how expensive harp strings are. So it's just always better safe than sorry. I have had very, very little pushback in my time performing from people not wanting to comply or thinking that I'm unreasonable for the things in my contract regarding outdoor events and weather. But the reality is, if that's going to be the thing that deters someone from working with you, is that they push against your boundaries and don't respect your safety precautions for your instrument, then you probably don't want to work with them anyway. That's just hinting at other problems that could happen down the road working with someone like that. Even when I've had students who have been doing, playing for their cousin's wedding reception or playing background music at a restaurant or, things like that, where they're not like professional harpists and the event is very like low key or it's someone they know, things like that. I always make my students have a contract. What I do is I type up a contract in the same format as the one that I use, and then I just alter it according to their needs. So even students, anytime you take your harp to play anywhere for someone and there's that kind of client worker expectation, then you need to have a contract, especially if it's an outdoor event. I will say any kind of outdoor event should have a contract with the weather clauses and everything like that. Just an extra bit, I also have a clause for flat ground and cover in my contract, because the harp needs somewhere flat to stand on. It's a very tippy instrument, and if left alone, it can fall over, even if like the grass looks flat. I literally have had that happen where it's like, oh, the grass is flat, and then like my harp started to tip over the minute I set it down. That kind of thing, either there needs to be concrete there, the client needs to provide a platform of plywood or something similar. Trust me, it's not worth having your harp tip over. And anytime that I've had this requirement, people are very willing to work with me. It makes sense to them if you explain it. And again, it's just something that normal people don't think about. If you're not a harpist, you don't think about how tippy the harp is. You only know that if you have experience working with a harp. I also require a shade covering from the sun if it's an outdoor event during the daytime. Especially here in Utah, the elevation is super high, which means that the atmosphere is thinner and the sun here just beats down. Like, my concert grand harp is black, and I, like a couple years ago, was doing a modeling thing with my harp and had it out in the sun for just a couple minutes for pictures, not even like playing a full gig. I was just like posing with it in the sun, and it was hot to the touch. It was crazy. And I like, as soon as I noticed it heating up, I like whisked it away. I was like, I'm not having it out here anymore, sorry. So it was crazy how hot the sun here can get. And it also can cause your electronics to overheat. It can cause your tablet to crash, and there goes your sheet music. And it also makes it really hard to be able to see what you're doing, which you need to be able to see to play the harp. I highly encourage a shade requirement as well, because even if you don't live in Utah where the sun is super hot, just the difficulty of playing in the sun and the risk of having your electronics overheat, and it's just bad for wooden instruments to be in the sun, you know? So anyway, I think that's it of my contract soapbox. You can ask anyone I talk to who has talked to me about contracts. I'm really passionate about it because I kind of made my own contract through trial and error. No one kind of gave me a template when I was starting out. I had like advice from things I saw online and other harpists, other musicians, things like that. But a lot of it was trial and error and realizing what works, what was sustainable, what was practical and realistic for working an event. So yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about, especially harpists who are just starting out, and maybe we have an eagerness to accept every gig or to be really, really compliant with what a client wants, you know, not wanting to be a diva. But the reality is that anyone who plays an expensive musical instrument deserves to be a diva about that instrument, because it costs lots of money to maintain and repair and replace. So yeah, I don't believe in the whole diva thing. I mean, it's just a stupid way to think, thinking that someone having boundaries and requirements for their profession or their instrument or performance or things like that, that's not a real thing. And anyone who thinks that way, you probably just don't want to work with, and who doesn't deserve to work with you. All right, I am pulling up to the gig. All right, we've got the harp. I'll come back for the rest of the stuff. Oh, hello. Hello there. What are you doing? Do you smell my dogs? Hi. Gig is done. It was awesome. I'm just schlepping all of my stuff. This driveway has been very steep. This person has parked so close to the front of me. I was here first. They have parked so close in front of me that I am scared that if I go into reverse, because we're on a hill, it will, like, while I take my foot off the brake, I will roll forward and hit them. So this is me showing evidence just in case. That is what happens. That is, I was parked here first. That's why I'm not parked in front of that driveway like this person is. So I barely made it out of that parking situation by the skin of my teeth. They must have like gone in front and then backed up, and they were trying to squish in because someone's driveway was right there, but they were still in front of the driveway, and they were so close to me, and I had to legitimately put my left foot on the brake, my right foot on the gas, so that like it could be that instant and not like be going back and forth with my right foot. And so I, you know, went into reverse, and like there was also a car behind me, but luckily they gave me enough room. If they hadn't, I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have had to go up to the wedding and be like, hey, I can't get out, because it was on a hill. So like as soon as I moved into reverse, like even though I'm in reverse, my car is still gonna roll forward a little bit. I know, because when I parked there, I was, you know, finagling where to park, and that's like what happened. So that was super stressful, and I was able to get out, and my car has like a backup sensor, so I was able to like have my left foot on the brake and then like lift it really fast, and then have my right foot on the grass and press down and like slowly back up. It was really stressful. As stressful as that was, it doesn't come close to some of the gig horror stories that I have, so I'll have to share those with you another time. But that was stressful. You saw the video. They were so close. I should have gotten out and shown. They were so close to me. Anyways, that was exciting. I was gonna yap on the way home and tell you about how the event was, but it was too dark. The event was awesome. I got lots of nice comments on the music. As you saw, the view was beautiful, the setting was beautiful, the bride and groom were beautiful, and the music was beautiful too. Someone took a little Polaroid picture and gave it to me. Isn't that cute? I like that it's kind of blurry. It's like very artsy. I don't know. It's very cute. And now I'm super hungry, so I'm off to eat second dinner. Whenever I play a gig, I will obviously eat before I go, but playing the harp and like performing takes so much energy and I guess calories, and so I'm always starving when I get home from a gig. So I'm gonna go eat a bunch of food and wind down, and I will check in with you then. I forgot, before it's food time, it's unload time. Who is that? Who is that? Oh, best husband ever. Thank you, Bebo. Good boy, Gunther, you got a toy? Chance, you got a toy? Show the camera your toy. What is it? Little tail. Oh!
That's right, I get it. I remember now. Okay, I remember now. You get to the other end, you cut it, and then it would be...
Wow!
So you could do a whole trim piece in like a quarter of the time. Figured it out perfectly yet, but...
I mean, it looks better than a job I could do.
Well...
Hi Bubba, why are you so invested in the tape? This is Dre, our roomie, and Dre has something exciting to show us.
For any of you who play Pokemon Go, we got ourselves a shiny Necrozma.
Oh,
Getting ready to merchandise.
Alright, I'm ready to get a treat. Ooh. Cute. Oh, it's so cute. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo.
7, 6.
I am home at last for good. It's time to wind down. It's time to get ready for bed. I am very, very tired. I am full of food and full of boba, and I'm very sleepy. Treating myself to one of these bad boys tonight. I think it's gotta be chamomile. I'm feeling sleepy. Here is our mask of the evening. So good. So tingly. Oh, sleepy boys. Oh, he's so tired. He's so sleepy. What am I looking at here? Brett, show the vlog.
These are my commander decks. My Magic the Gathering commander decks. There are 24 of them.
And do you make them yourself?
I do. I make all of them myself. This was my first commander.
I see.
The Zuri Claw of Progress.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still my favorite to play. Every land is blinged out, so every land is a different full art iteration.
I didn't know that. So
of the
pretty.
lands. Bridget opened this in a pack
That's right.
because she's very lucky and I'm very not lucky.
Okay, tell us about the deck.
I'm currently build crafting a new deck in Architect. This deck is called Stop Hitting Yourself. It's based on a couple really silly cards over here in this category called Punching Bag. Whenever they take damage, they deal that much damage to something else. So basically, this silly deck is play a bunch of creatures that have indestructible and say that they do damage to other things when they take damage, and then just play a bunch of damage stuff but damage my own creatures or board wipe, and then have a bunch of damage multipliers, card draw, things to make creatures indestructible if they are not already indestructible. It's not a completely original thought, but it's pretty original. It's funny.
Yeah, it's fun. Good ear scratches. Can't. You got your cow. Good boy. Good night, Gunther.
Good night, vlog.
Chance says good night.